Okay, it's January 16th, 2019. We're on episode the 22 of Alien Contacts and the Life of Bob. And we were talking about doing, I was talking about last about doing some racing and stuff, and then just in between the breakout, reminiscing with Bob of how this goes back many years. They made us honorary senators.
Yeah.
And they have, I don't know, it fluctuates, but roughly around 1,000 senators make up their government. And we actually had a vote,
Yeah.
we could vote on various things, and many times there would be issues that would be brought up, or we would bring them up, things to like guide them into being, living in a more
Humane.
humane, for lack of a better word. Of course, they're not human, but I think you all know what we mean by that. I'm going to say that. Not to get into any details about those things too much, but we would bring up various issues, and if we felt strongly about them, we'd tell them that we really insist them, and we'd do like a video conference call, and the Senate would hear it, and many times we're helping to kind of bring them into a better way, and get some of their laws changed and adopted. A better stance. Sometimes we would, we'd stand up for unions that they had, about workers' rights and things like that.
Yeah.
I remember that was some of the issues.
Young reptilians' rights as well.
Yep.
In the sense of
Yep.
boot camp.
And
age.
rights for gay reptilians.
Which there are.
Which
There are many of them.
ironically, they were in the same kind of position that we've been in the last 20 years with gay rights and that kind of thing. Even though they're such a much older race than we are, but some of these races are still hung up on that aspect, even though it's from what we've heard and understand, it's roughly 10% of the population in most races of the universe do have gay people among them. Anyway, so there's that, and in addition to being brought into various meetings, and sometimes meetings with people, the deep state people that would be brought up from Earth. Usually they would come up on their own secret space program ships, and then they'd fly into the bay, and we'd be there, a big long conference table, and talk about things and try to get them to hasten their timetable on disclosure and things of that nature, as well as putting a stop to the bad side of deep state that's doing all these terrible things that many of you know about. So there's that. So yeah, we got some huge secret spacecraft. They'd fly right into the bay. Now they had this craft. It's a veritable mothership that we would
And then so.
go on to. It was roughly, what was it, about 10 or 12 miles long?
The Rin Gordic was 10
miles.
miles around.
Okay.
Now the most recent one is called, for Gary, is called Garan,
Yeah.
and it's like about 12 miles in length.
Yeah. So just wrap your minds around that for a minute.
Size of a city.
And it's got everything any big city has, including a huge park.
Oh yeah, many.
Yeah, but the one in particular was just massive.
Yeah.
And Gary's son that Bob talked about earlier, we knew him as Steve.
Yeah.
Actually was one of the designers of the biggest park that they had there.
Yep.
And you know, the ceiling was what, like 70,
Oh, God.
90 feet tall. So it had some
At least, yeah.
real good sized trees in there, and you know, the whole bit, and you know, babbling brooks and lots of greenery and trails, and just huge. So and they had you know, lots of holodecks for, you know, for people for recreation, and because, you know,
Training.
we were very honored special guests on board of the captain, who became the lead senator during the time we knew them, and were, you know, spent time visiting them a lot. We never had trouble getting, you know, time. Usually, we just, you know, we talk to them. Bob would communicate with them, and, you know, set a particular night that we'd be over there. They'd pick us up, and then we'd go and spend time on the holodeck, and any kind of thing. Like I said, there was this racing program, and you know, you could do, you know, anything. They have you know, mountain programs, or you know, waterfall programs, and you know, of course we'd get to have use of the largest holodeck they had, which was pretty big, pretty massive.
Yes,
And
smaller ones too, but
yeah,
the larger ones were also used more for military training.
yeah. But I'm saying, because we were, you know, honored visitors, and
Sure.
you know, with the top brass, we'd always end up, you know, getting to use the big one. And then there was also times when we took trips around the world,
Different areas.
in our world. And some of these times we'd be on the other side of the planet where it was daytime.
Yeah.
You know, for a few hours or several hours. Sometimes these were little missions, and on a few occasions I was brought on a couple tactical missions. And if you want to talk about a couple of those.
The one that I don't know why it stands out in my mind the most, and that was where a reptilian apparently had been caught here on the ground and was being held at an underground base, I think in Montana. And I didn't go on that mission. Paul did. Like he says, because problems with my back and my legs. I'm not the guy to invite to a mission like that. But Paul went with Gary, and they actually they rescued the captured reptilian, and you know, transferred back up to the ship. I know that, as I was saying earlier, Gary has a love of human firearms. He told me he has a collection. He never showed it to me, actually. It was kept in storage.
That and meteorites.
Yeah, meteoric glass. And he had a set of shelves. I guess they were about 2 feet in length, built into the wall, excuse me, with pieces of meteoric glass, some, you know, very small pieces, some about the size of half of your hand. And he had a clear protective shield over that. I don't know what it was made of. I don't remember him saying much about like assault rifles, things of that nature. He knew how to use them, but I think his love was handheld firearms. And so ever so often when he'd pick me up, he'd be wearing one.
But they're combinations. Just to talk a little bit more about their living spaces, were very nice.
Yes.
The whole, as you would imagine, the ships had just incredible technology, and being of that size, they had various ways to get around the ship. If someone really needed to go to one end or the other, or somewhere fairly far, and they wanted to get there quick, they would just beam them there. They'd get into one of their
if conditions were right. They're
I forget what would you call that?
What do you mean?
The little closets that they would get into to beam one place to another. Actually, I take that back. I'm thinking of something else. No, they could call engineering and get beamed up where they stood. They didn't have to
Exactly.
step in, But usually they like to take what we would call people movers.
Yeah.
It would be like large electric golf carts, and their hallways on these ships. On this ship, because it's a mothership.
We're
huge.
around too. Both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, any of the motherships, huge.
Sure.
They have lots of them, of course.
Sure.
And the hallways were huge, and just like like you're at the airport, there'd be two rows of traffic of people movers going in the opposite direction, as well as people just walking along the corridors and what have you. Most of the craft was kept very warm.
Yeah.
Because that's how they
Too
like
warm.
it. They at their biology, they have a true reptilian biology. They like things very warm.
And on the dark side.
And,
dark,
dim.
dim light. Yeah.
Fairly dim. They have great eyesight. And if they had any humans or people like us on board, wherever we would be, to accommodate us, they would actually turn the temperature down to make it comfortable for us. And they would just kind of deal with it. Maybe put a jacket on or something like that.
Yeah. They give us clothes to wear while we were there.
Yeah. Well, we would generally get picked up, from our beds, and it was easiest to pick us up when we were asleep. Safest, technology-wise.
Well, there's another factor
And-
about safety about that too.
Yeah.
If we were having a lightning storm or something here, they wouldn't pick us up because they were afraid it would scramble us or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It could cause problems. So yeah,
Yeah.
if it was a stormy night and we had plans of being picked up, that would get postponed. Let me think. What else is interesting? Their living quarters are modular.
Yeah.
So they can be moved and changed in and out very easily and quickly. The upper, they have stores, like we have stores, like malls
Similar, yeah.
throughout the ship, and a lot of the people, especially the officers, very much like Earth designs, and a lot of their stores would have lamps and
Amazing lamps.
rugs and high tech stuff, but silver. They go and pick out their silverware and different dish sets and what have you, and bedding, and they had any number of variety of ways that they could outfit their quarters, and of course the depending on your rank. The upper rank and officers and what have you, had bigger living quarters, and
Definitely.
let's see, what else can we tell them about?
Oh, food. A lot of times the kind of food we would have, we were fortunate enough to get human food because they did business with some secret ops on the ground to.
Yeah, there was catering companies from Earth. They would get food from all over the world. So you walk in any American grocery store, they pretty much got all that. They could get all that stuff. If they didn't have it, sometimes Bob would say, I want to get some root beer Coke or something. You got some on hand, and they're like, no, but we can get it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. They're generally vegetarian.
Yep.
Beside their genetics, they have some high technology that they learned through the millennia that they've been around. That engineering that they do on themselves, as well as their own genetics that allows them and gives them to have these tens of thousands of year old lives.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of alien races out there, we hear of them having roughly 1,000-year lifetime, which is of course that's very long in our lifetime, but we have knowledge to understand that we have those genetics as well in us. And there was a time when people, one of the things that is true in the crazy Bible that some people know about is the old lifespans of hundreds of years old. 700-800 years old, and I remember preachers when I was a kid would say, "Oh, that just means," they would say that about someone to exaggerate, to display how good they were, But no,
it was real.
People really did in this world. To races like the reptilian race, that's a drop in a bucket. They have tens of thousands of years old. Over 50,000 years old. The bulk of them, and they eat. Like I say, they eat really healthy, mostly vegetarian. Contrary to what a lot of people are told.
Yeah.
About them.
I've seen Gary eating grapefruit so many times. And I can't stand grapefruit.
And just like very healthy people on Earth, they exercise a lot to keep themselves toned and fit, and the average reptilian is much stronger than the average human.
And even shapeshifted they are. How they keep it that way, I don't know.
Yeah.
I asked Gary one time, why do you stay shapeshifted in a human form? And he said, well, this may sound kind of gross, but most reptilian males have their genitals in a pouch. And he said, but it feels so damn good to have them rubbing against clothing when you have pants on. And I said, I wish I hadn't asked.
Yeah, they very much like the human form, and
Yeah.
So all you people that think, oh, we're lowly and we're nothing, we are very much the shape of things to come. And there's a lot of good in our design of the way we are. It really is fantastic. And I remember asking them, is it just a few of you guys that are stationed around by Earth that have this that do the shape shifting and what have you? And they're like, no, actually, it's something that it's continually growing more and more. That at the time, 30% of their race was shape shifted human most of the time.
Yeah.
So they really did like it, and identify with it in a friendly good way. So I think that's kind of neat. We got a couple of quick minutes here left.
In time, the Andromedans just very recently came from the galaxy of Andromeda over Earth and have told the reptilians to leave since they weren't able to quite finish the job of making things better here. Now they have just within the last week or so, I think within the last week, invited the reptilians back again to work with the Andromedans to help make things better here. The Andromedans can't do it by themselves either.
Yeah.
Which is great, because I think that's what the creator of all things would like to see. Different cultures coming together, and that helps to avoid a war in the future.
Yeah, and for all you people that follow the Pleiadians and some of these other alien groups or what have you, they're all around as well, the good guys, and are part of it. But the Andromedans in this area, of the universe, they're the heavy hitters, okay?
Yeah.
And they're the most like us, and so they very much are taking lead right now.
Gary used to say they're the new bullies on the block, where the reptilians were the old bullies on the block.
So anyway, that's about that. If we are doing a series on Andromedan contact, if you've made it this far and you haven't gotten into that, check it out. They're posted in between these this series. As of today, we've done 2 of them. We're going to do a third one tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
all right.
Thursday. Yeah. Wow. Guess that's about it.
All right.
Godspeed.